By now, you've likely heard about American Eagle's latest marketing campaign.
Hey, it's Sydney on set with AE.
It's a collaboration between the clothing retailer and actress Sydney Sweeney. The ads for jeans released last week feature short clips and images of Sweeney as a kind of all-American girl next door type.
At the end of the day, I love to come home and play with my dog. You see the camera? Say hi.
In some, she's wearing an all-denim outfit. In others, flared jeans with a fitted white tank. But there's one ad that's been shared around the internet, critiqued on social media, and talked about in group chats. Here's Shane O'Neill, style reporter for The Post.
That particular ad is a sort of close-up pan starting from the bottom of Sydney Sweeney's body while she's reclining.
Jeans are passed down from parents to offspring.
We go from sort of her ankles up to her waist where we see her buttoning her jeans.
And even eye color.
We see her lips moving for the first time when she says,
My jeans are blue.
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
From the newsroom of The Washington Post, this is Post Reports. I'm Colby Ekowitz. It's Thursday, July 31st. Today, I'm joined by two brilliant colleagues. You just heard Shane. Hey, Shane.
Hi, Colby.
And we also have Rachel Tastian, fashion critic for The Post. Hey, Rachel.
Hi.
I am so thrilled to have you both on today. We're going to be talking about why American Eagle's latest jeans ad have stirred up quite the frenzy, with some critics online calling it a pro-eugenics, anti-feminist campaign. And then there's others celebrating it as a new era of anti-woke marketing. So Rachel, Shane, this, again, is an ad featuring Sydney Sweeney, who listeners might know from shows like Euphoria and White Lotus. And in the ad, she points out her blue eyes and blue jeans and makes this sort of pun on genes and genetics. It seems actually that American Eagle has taken this particular ad down. Adweek reported that American Eagle removed it from their YouTube and Instagram accounts, and I haven't been able to find it on any of their social media pages. So let's talk a little bit about the backlash to that ad.
Well, I think a lot of the backlash, bubbled up over the weekend and has continued into the past couple of days. If you went on TikTok and looked at these ads, there were people who were just commenting pro-eugenics, and there were hundreds of these comments in some cases. And what happened was that was one interpretation of the ads that was picked up by a number of different kinds of outlets, some of them tabloids, some of them blogs or magazines, newspapers. And then that became a huge controversy, as if that was the dominant reading or anger with the ad.
The sort of short answer is there was a wing of people online who said making jokes about having good genes is promoting eugenics, or at least alluding to eugenics.
And let's remind listeners what that means exactly. What does eugenics mean in this?
So basically, eugenics, as I understand it, it's an unproven and inaccurate theory that you can pass down your best genes selectively, that you can engineer a better person or a better society by genetics, by breeding and selecting who and who is not left in the gene pool. It's a really complicated and sometimes super duper ugly theory. I mean, eugenics is what inspired Nazism, and historically it has led to a lot of terrible practices, and it's been championed by racists.
I mean, the argument, to kind of summarize it from critics of the ad, is like, okay, here is this blonde, blue-eyed white woman, and we're saying that she has, quote, good genes. And so does her good genes mean that others that don't look like her have bad genes, right? And so is that kind of part of the sensitivity around talking about someone having good genes?
Well, I can speak for myself.
Yeah.
When I saw the tagline,
Sydney Sweeney has very jeans.
The very first thing that I thought about was the Department of Homeland Security had made social media posts, one that featured sort of like a questionably subtle racist painting, and then one that I would say is explicitly racist, depicting Manifest Destiny embodied as like a giant blonde woman chasing Native people off of the page. So I think that it's not necessarily ascribing any blame or intention to the ads. But yes, when I saw a blonde woman saying, I have good genes, that was the first thing that I thought of, whether it's fair or not.
That's so interesting. I mean, on the one hand, you have critics saying this is a pro-eugenics ad. But then on the other hand, there seems to be mostly people like on the right, people like on Fox News, that have then criticized the backlash. And in fact, Trump's communication director, Stephen Chung, he even posted about it on X, and I'll read what he said. He says, quote, "Cancel culture run amok. This warped, moronic, and dense liberal thinking is a big reason why Americans voted the way they did in 2024. They're tired of this BS." But he spelled out the word. For some, this reaction to the ad on the left does seem to kind of feed into what Donald Trump says is wrong with liberals, that liberals are, a bunch of snowflakes who can't handle anything that potentially pushes an envelope.
Well, I would push back on it pushing an envelope. I think it's more of returning to a previous envelope.
I really do think the ambiguity of the ad is what is creating many of the issues here and the misunderstandings and the controversy, frankly. In fact, these jeans are part of a fundraiser for domestic violence. So 100% of the proceeds of the price of each of these specific jeans, which I think are $89.99, the funds from that will go to a domestic abuse crisis line.
Has that fact made its way into the discourse?
Yes, that was very early on. I think one of the first points of contention, were these ads, which were so overtly flirtatious and sexual, inappropriate way to promote a product that was supposed to be raising money for domestic violence. But I think that's gotten a little bit lost as the politics of this and this emphasis on the, eugenics or not eugenics conversation has really taken over. And I do wonder, when looking at, the way that American Eagle has sort of backed away from making any comment here, at least so far, the fact that they have removed one of the ads from social media, you have to wonder if this is taking them somewhat by surprise.
Also haven't heard back from the PR rep from American Eagle for questioning.
Yeah, I wondered that too, guys, because I was like, are they like, that's not what we meant. Just a pun. Like, we weren't trying to say that her jeans are like actually better than anyone else's jeans. Or were they like, yep, this is what we were hoping to do. We were hoping to, spark conversation and get people talking about American Eagle. I mean, it's hard to know, right?
Well, it's impossible to know because they're not releasing a statement, which is absolutely their prerogative. There's also an argument to be made that because it's so ambiguous, that's an effective image, that it's something that can be debated and that, one person sees one thing, one person sees another. I think this whole ad campaign can be a cultural Rorschach. What I would say is that I'm not expecting American Eagle to say anything. They have nothing to gain from saying anything right now. Their stock has gone up, as of right now, I believe 11% since the ad dropped last week. So as long as there's money rolling in, they have everything to lose by clarifying their position. I guess if their stock had gone down 10%, we might be hearing a more explicit position on what they were and weren't trying to do. But as of right now, it seems like a great move for them. It seems like it's generated money and it's certainly generated publicity and chatter.
Which is interesting. Like, is that, in fashion, when you think about success, is success sales or is it the public perception of the brand? And I don't think we'll know for another month or two how this has impacted the sales of the brand. I think it's important to add as well that one of American Eagle's great successes of the past decade is an underwear line called Aerie, which has championed the body positivity movement. I mean, they took that and ran with it probably more successfully than almost any other brand except maybe Fenty's underwear line. And, they encouraged regular people to post pictures of themselves in the underwear and they would repost them. I mean, if it's something that they feel seen in, then maybe that makes it a good advertisement.
Right. There was a period of time in the 90s and the early 2000s where there's a very clear idea of what made someone beautiful. And then we got into this body positivity movement where different shapes and sizes and races and hair color, so many things could be beautiful. So many people could be beautiful. And so now are we coming back around to, no, there's just one kind of beautiful. And this is it.
It's a really difficult question, and I think there's never going to be an answer that satisfies everyone about the question of aspirational imagery and whether that has anything to do with yourself.
After the break, Rachel and Shane talk about how companies have long used provocative images to sell jeans. We'll be right back. So brands like Calvin Klein and Levi's and Gap, they've been selling jeans in these big campaigns for years. Jean ads are kind of iconic Americana. But this isn't the first time that jean ads have actually sparked controversy, right? So can you talk through what past controversies have been around people selling jeans?
Two big ones that come to mind that I think are directly referenced in this particular American Eagle campaign is a 1980 Calvin Klein campaign with Brooke Shields. Maybe you've heard that slogan, "Nothing comes between me and my Calvins."
You want to know what comes between me and my Calvins? Nothing.
That came from these ads featuring a very young Brooke Shields with TV spots that were shot by Richard Avedon, who's, a giant in fashion photography. She was, I believe, 15 years old when that ad was shot. And today, Brooke Shields has expressed some ambivalence about appearing in those ads. I had sort of forgotten the content. I revisited some of the commercials that are available on YouTube or Facebook to revisit those ads.
Genes are fundamental in determining the characteristics of an individual.
And I was struck that there's language about natural selection in the jean ads that Brooke Shields was doing, which I found very surprising just because a big part of this controversy with the American Eagle ads is that they're making a joke about genes and genetics. Both feature a beautiful, very popular actress in a similar reclined situation selling jeans, and both of them are making jokes or alluding to genetics in one way or another.
What's interesting, though, Shane, is that in the early 80s, the genetics part of it was not the controversy with the Calvin Klein ad, right? It was the fact that they were sexualizing a teenage girl.
Yes, the bigger issue in the 80s was the fact that Brooke Shields was underage, not that we were talking about genetics. Sydney Sweeney is an adult, so that's sort of like off the table in this discussion, although genetics seem to be a much hotter button issue right now than they were in 1981.
Yeah.
Let me speak again to my personal experience. There's another ad campaign, another Calvin Klein ad campaign from 1995 that was shot by Stephen Meisel, and it featured people auditioning sort of ambiguously. It's a wood-paneled room with carpeting and a ladder, and there's an off-camera male voice giving direction.
You think you can rip that shirt off of you?
It's very sleazy. It's pretty unsettling.
It's a nice body. Do you work out?
Mm-hmm. I remember when that ad campaign came out, my mother just being like, "This is pornography," and me being like, "Lighten up, Mom, low-rise jeans rule," Watching it as an adult, watching it as a 41-year-old, I was like, oh yeah, this is extremely provocative. And I think there is something to be said from a marketing standpoint about things that drive a wedge between people can be really meaningful because it becomes a totem. And by the way, there's a direct analog between those ads and these ads in that there's one of the clips is Sydney Sweeney auditioning.
Hi, I'm Sydney Sweeney, and I'm from Spokane, Washington.
And it's same thing, off camera, not nearly as provocative or suggestive, but she's walking on camera. She's presenting herself as though she's auditioning.
I can work as a local hire as well, though, and I'm available for the American Eagle jeans campaign shoot.
Profile and hands, please.
And there's a male off-camera voice sort of directing her.
Thanks.
What was strange about that one is that Sydney Sweeney is an incredibly famous actress and producer who makes really intelligent choices about the roles that she plays. She's making this film where she stars as a female boxer, and she's also producing that. I mean, I think we have this image of her as being really in control of her femininity, and to see her sort of put in this small town gal, almost casting couch situation, it just didn't make sense to me. It's like, this is not why we enjoy this person's celebrity, you know?
She's not the every woman.
Right. She's not the every woman, but she's also not a vulnerable woman who's fallen predatory to the dirty side of Hollywood and advertising. That's just not who we've come to know this person to be.
So guys, at the end of the day, I mean, this is an ad, right? Like, is it really that serious? Are we taking it too seriously? I mean, I'm on a group chat with some of my college friends, and they were texting me about this yesterday, and they were like, I don't get it. Like, why is everyone mad about this? Please explain. Should we be mad too? Like, are we trying to project meaning onto something that maybe doesn't mean what people think it means?
I think that online people jump to extremes. You know, the way that social media is designed, it encourages you to say the most extreme thing in the shortest amount of time.
Yeah.
I guess you could say that social media in a way has like degraded the quality of information we receive, but also the quality of conversation.
I hear people's complaints that like we're talking too much about this. I definitely understand the argument of like a beautiful woman selling jeans. How is this news? Like, I understand that this is something that we see all the time. I guess I would also add that I don't think it's fair to hang an entire industry onto one ad campaign or certainly one person. There's a couple ways you can look at it. First of all, I think apart from this, we've already seen it. Like the runway models are thinner than ever, or as thin as they used to always be. I've talked to plus size models who say they're just not getting booked the way they were even a few years ago. So I don't think it's unfair to say that that's happening and to investigate why that might be. I do think it's unfair to hang all of that onto one ad campaign or onto Sydney Sweeney herself. So I think part of the frustration that some people have is that there is a tendency to take one cultural moment and use that as a way to explain all of American culture or all of American politics. And I think that that's a really frustrating way to look at the world. And I think it's also a really popular way to look at the world, especially when we're talking about online discourse. That said, I also don't think the answer is like, you're taking it too seriously, so you have no right to talk about it or talk about how it makes you feel or how it connects to history. So I think there's a fine line that we have to thread here. Sydney Sweeney and American Eagle is not all of American culture, but it's also not divorced from American culture. I think you have to look at it in the context of what's happening in politics and in the world in order to understand why these reactions are happening.
Well, guys, thank you so much. It was a blast having you on. Thanks for talking through this with me. I appreciate it.
Of course. Thanks for having us.
Such a pleasure.
Shane O'Neill writes the Style Memo newsletter for The Post. Rachel Tastian is our fashion critic. That's it for Post Reports. Thanks for listening. If you appreciated this conversation, please subscribe to The Washington Post. There's a new offer for premium subscribers. It's a way for you to share the Post journalism with other people in your life. A premium subscription now comes with 3 extra accounts. 3 accounts that you can give to friends or family members. And if you subscribe now, there's a great sale happening. You can get your first year for just $3 every 4 weeks. $3 every 4 weeks. After the first year, the price is $17 every 4 weeks, and you can cancel anytime. There's also an even better deal if you pay for the whole year up front. To see that and to sign up now, go to WashingtonPost.com/subscribe. That's WashingtonPost.com/subscribe. There's also a link in our show notes. Today's show was produced by Thomas Liu. It was edited by Rena Flores and mixed by Sean Carter. Thanks to Carla Spardos. I'm Colby Ickowitz. We'll be back tomorrow with more stories from The Washington Post.